welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing a what I wish I knew before I started teaching video. This video has been so highly requested and I definitely wanted to share all of the things that I wish I would have known before I started this year. It's actually Tuesday right now and I am at my house, obviously. I had a snow day today and we actually had one yesterday as well. If you follow along on my Instagram, then you would know we are in the middle of like a snowstorm, which is kind of crazy. And so up north where my school is, I guess they have like 10 inches of snow, which is crazy. Down where I live and like closer to Seattle area, we only have a few inches, but up there, I guess it's really crazy. So we have had 2 days off and we'll probably have tomorrow off as well. So I thought this is the perfect time to film this video. So I'm going to outline 10 different things that I wish I would have known before I started teaching. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Haley. I'm a first year kindergarten teacher. I have vlogged my whole experience from student teaching to now. And so I am really excited that you are here. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and also make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can join the family. And also you can follow along on my Instagram. I share a lot of like day-to-day life, outfit of the days, just a lot of things like that. And so make sure you follow me on there if you would like, and let's jump into this video. Okay, so the first thing that I wish I would have known before I started teaching is you cannot do it all. With the Instagram teacher community and even teaching community in like your school and stuff, there's just so many amazing ideas that can really help your kids or really enhance what you're doing in the classroom, like word work cards and like science bins and STEM bins and just like so many different things that you can do, and all of them are really great ideas. And I know as a first year teacher, I was like, I want to do this and this and this. I want to do all these projects that are, you know, supplementing my curriculum and just really helping with my kids' learning, which is great. But as a first year teacher, you cannot do it all. I learned that the hard way. I'm just going to be completely honest with you guys. If you've been following along, you probably already know this, but there are projects that I planned on doing in August that I literally just got done this month because I haven't been able to breathe. As a first year teacher, it's just so exhausting. There's so much going on. There's just higher priorities like getting to know your kids, getting to know your school, getting to know your staff, building those relationships, getting to know the curriculum. There's just so many things going on. I just did not have the time or the energy, mentally or physically, to do it all. And it's so hard, and I was really hard on myself when I first started teaching because I was like, wow, I really should have done this a long time ago. Why am I just doing this now? And the reality is, you just can't do it all. You can't do every great idea you ever see out there, and it's not fair to compare yourself to teachers that have been teaching for years and years and years because they have had so many years to get to the point that they are at, and this is your very first year doing it. And so that was something that was really hard for me to kind of accept and kind of work through and realize, but I really wish that I would have just known that going in so that I didn't have to have that stress. So you can't do it all, and that is okay. The second thing I wish I would have known is teaching is absolutely exhausting. And I'm sure this is one that you're like, well, duh, everyone knows that. But you guys, like, my first month, I literally went to bed at like 7 p.m. I was exhausted. I literally could not think. I couldn't move. I'd come home and just lay in bed and like want to go to sleep. I've never been more tired in my entire life. And so I, at the beginning of the year, was like, oh my gosh, there is no way I can keep this up. Like, I'm going to burn myself out. How the heck am I going to do this continuing past this first month if this is how hard it's going to be? And it is exhausting in general, but the first month especially, but it gets better. Your endurance builds, the kids' endurances build, and so it gets better. Just know that. I know the first month I was like, there is no way I can do this. How the heck am I going to do this? And it gets better. So know that yes, it's exhausting. It's always going to be exhausting, but the first month or right after breaks, it's like especially exhausting, but it won't always be that exhausting. Another thing that I wish I would have known is it's okay to ask for help. This may seem obvious, but I know as a first year teacher, especially being young, it was really hard for me to feel comfortable asking for help because I felt like I kind of needed to prove myself. I needed to show that I knew what I was doing, which is not, like, obviously I got hired, obviously I have a degree, obviously I'm a good teacher. I wouldn't have been in the position that I was in, and it's totally okay to ask for help, and it's totally normal. Like, that's what collaboration is. It's asking, like, how do you do this? How did it go for you? What can I do to make my, you know, instruction better? It's totally okay to ask for help, especially just as a newbie. Like, people expect you to ask for help, and it doesn't mean that you don't know what you're doing, or it doesn't mean that you're not a good teacher. It just means that you are a good teacher and you want to be better and you want to be doing it right, and that you're asking for help. That's way better than just not doing it right and never asking. So just know that it's okay to ask for help. Your team partner is a really good person, or your PLC team, teachers online, teachers that you have from like your college, just all of those people are great people to have as a support system that you can ask people for help. Okay, the next tip that I have for you is to not collect a bunch of stuff before you actually get your placement or your grade placement. The only exception to that is books. I think that you can collect books no matter what grade you end up teaching, and especially if you like know you want to teach secondary, then you're probably going to collect all of chapter books and stuff. Whereas like I knew that I wanted to teach primary. I was not going to accept a job that was not primary, and so I collected a ton of picture books and then some chapter books too, because I was open to like second grade. So I think the one exception to that is books, but besides that, I would say don't collect a bunch of stuff that you may not end up using, and it just takes up space and causes stress. And I just know that if I would have collected like a ton of bookshelves or like flexible seating things or like manipulatives, like all those things are great, and if people are willing to give them to you for free, that's another thing, but don't go out of your way to buy a bunch of stuff that you might not even end up using. And so I think it's really important to go into the classroom that you're gonna get, that's gonna be yours. Every classroom is built differently, so there's a different space that you're gonna have to work with. Each building provides you with different types of things, and so I would just say to not collect a bunch of like furniture or stuff like that before you actually get your placement and you get to see your actual classroom. Another thing I wish I would have known was do not buy a white lanyard. No matter how cute this lanyard is, if it's white, it will get trashed. I don't know why I bought a white lanyard. Don't ask me why. It was dumb. Don't do it, because mine is like so gross and dirty now that I'm definitely gonna have to buy a new one, where I wish I would have bought like a black one or something, or a different color, so that it didn't get dirty and I didn't have to replace it every year. But do not buy a white lanyard. Another thing that I wish I would have known is being firm and consistent in your classroom management doesn't make you mean. So especially at the beginning of the year, you have to set those boundaries and routines like so much and practice them every single day and practice them until they do it right. And then as the school year goes on, you can kind of like lean off of it a little bit. Like kids already know the expectations, but I think especially as a first year teacher, you want the kids to like you so much, which is obviously really important. You want to build those relationships with your kids, but you also have to have classroom management to be able to teach. That's just the reality of it. If you don't have a strong classroom management system, you're not going to be able to get to the instruction. You're not going to be able to get to the things that you know you're in the program or you're teaching for. And so I think it's so important to think about how you want your classroom management to be, set up a system, write it down, type out every single procedure you're ever gonna do. Like, how are kids gonna ask to go to the bathroom? How are they gonna go to the hallway? How are you gonna take attendance? How are they gonna put their backpacks away? Like, think about all of those routines and type them out and literally like have it printed out right next to you so that you know how you explained it to yourself, and then you can explain it to the kids, right? And that's what you hold them to. And so that's what I did at the beginning of the year, and it made my life so much easier, because before the day even started, before the first day of school even started, and before my kids even arrived, I knew how I wanted my classroom to be run, and it made my life so much easier. And so I definitely think, do not worry about being mean per se. If you're just being firm and you're holding the kids to expectations that you have, you're not being mean. You're holding them accountable, and you're gonna help your classroom be a really positive learning environment. So that's what I wish I would have known. Another thing I wish I would have known before I started teaching is your classroom is probably never going to be done. I know when I was setting up my classroom, I was so stressed about my classroom being absolutely perfect and being completely ready per se, but it's never gonna be ready. The reality is you could set up your classroom for a month, and as soon as the kids walk in, you're probably gonna have to change things up. I know that every class that you get is going to be different, and they're going to have different needs that you're going to have to adapt your space for. And so I set up my classroom in the most functional way that I thought it made sense, and then as soon as my students came, I realized, oh, I really need to have 2 calm down spaces because we have a lot of emotions. Or I realized like, oh, this space I thought was big enough for the kitchen area, but it's really not, and we have to change things up. And that's totally fine. It's not that big of a deal. And don't stress out about your classroom being perfect before the kids come, because your space is supposed to be something that is a learning space. Your walls should be covered with like anchor charts that you made as a class, your students' work, things that they're learning about, things that they can access. It's not supposed to be a like Pinterest, Lakeshore Learning presentation. And so I know in my classroom is not very like Pinteresty. It's very just learning based. All over our walls there's anchor charts that we've made, there's word walls that the kids use. Just know that the way that you set up your classroom at the beginning of the year will probably not be the way that it's going to end up at the end of the year, just because your kids are going to develop and change, and each class has different needs that your classroom is going to have to meet. The learning environment that your kids are learning in has to be their own. It has to be something that they can engage in, something that they can access the resources that are on the wall. It needs to fit the needs of the students in your classroom. And so I know personally, like, I was super stressed being like, oh my gosh, my classroom's not done and I have conferences next week, like what am I gonna do? It's not that big of a deal. Your classroom is gonna change anyways, so set it up to the best that you can, but know that it's probably gonna change, and so it's totally fine, and your classroom will probably never be done, but as long as you are ready to teach your kiddos, that's all that matters. So that's what I wish I would have known. Another thing that I wish I would have known is comfort beats fashion. So I personally kind of like to dress like nicer, I guess, for school. My school has a very like chillax dress code. Like, as long as we're dressed like professionally and just dressed like appropriately, it doesn't really matter what we wear. But I know during student teaching especially, I was like, I have to prove myself, I need to make sure that I'm dressed super nice, da da da. That does not matter. You're gonna be up and down walking around the classroom. Your shoes need to be comfortable, your pants need to fit right, your shirts need to be comfortable. Like, as long as you are comfortable, able to move around, work with your kiddos, that's all that matters. It does not matter if you're wearing the cutest outfit ever. It matters if you're gonna be able to be comfortable and not think about your outfit and focus on teaching the kids. And that is something that I have had to learn, because I had a pair of booties, for example, that were super cute and I loved wearing them to like the store, to the restaurants and stuff like that, but I never wore them for like a 10-hour workday. I am never wearing those things again. I do not care how cute they are. They hurt my feet so bad. And so just know, like, comfort and usefulness and being able to actually work with your kiddos is way more important than fashion will ever be. So take that as you will. Find clothes that fit you well, that make you feel good and that are comfortable, and then wear those things. The next thing I wish I would have known is kind of like a double thing, but I wish I would have known that it's okay to take a sick day and how important a sub binder is. I think it's kind of like a trend on like social media and stuff to be like, oh, I'm sick, but I'm still gonna go to work because like sub plans are like too hard to write, which is true. Sub plans are hard to write and it is a lot of work to get a sub. I know, because I had to do it. But the reality is, if you go to work when you're sick, you're not going to get better. Your kids are going to get sick, then the sickness is going to go around your classroom, and then pretty much all of you are going to be sick and it's not going to be fun. I know for myself, I was sick for an entire month because I never took a day off. I never went to the doctor. I finally did take a day off and went to the doctor. Turns out I had a double ear infection and a sinus infection. So if I would have never gone to the doctor, I would have never started feeling better, and I was so drained. I was exhausted. I didn't feel good. I was not the teacher that I am when I'm healthy, because you can't be. And so I know that writing sub plans is a really hard, exhausting thing to do, but I would suggest before like you get to the point where you're sick to have a sub binder. I will link the sub binder that I have down below. I absolutely love it. Highly, highly recommend. So when I put in the extra work to make the sub binder so that I had like our daily routine, all of the information in the sub binder, so that when it came time to me to get a sub, all I had to do was kind of just plug in exactly what lesson we were on. So for example, for like math, all of the math routines and expectations and all of that was already typed up. So all I had to do was say like, we are on unit 3, lesson 3. You know, that's all I had to do when I went to get a sub. And so it made my life a lot easier to have put in the effort already making the sub binder when it came time for me to actually write the sub plans when I was sick and exhausted. So know that it's okay to take a day off. I do not agree with the whole like go to work when you're sick. I understand that sometimes you have to do it, but like also you need to prioritize yourself as a person and a human, and know that if you are sick, you're not going to be the best teacher that you can be, so you might as well get better. And if you want to stay in this profession for a long time, you have to take care of yourself too. The last thing I wish I would have known was to take pictures of your kids doing things all the time. I know personally I did not take pictures of what my kids were doing or what we were doing for the first like month or two, because I just didn't think about it. And then I was like, oh, I want to do a memory book at the end of the year. Now I'm missing all of their pictures for the first 2 months of school. And so I really wish that I would have just taken more pictures of like the fun science experiments that we did, or like, you know, take a picture of them every month to see how much they grow, because they grow a ton, you guys. Or just take pictures of them with their friends, or doing reading it when they first learn how to read, when they learn their sight words, whatever it is. Like, take pictures all the time, and then it'll be so fun for the parents and for families and for you to see all of the fun things that you've done throughout the year, and you can make it into a memory book. So I wish I would have known to take pictures of more things, because now I'm like, I really wish I would have taken pictures of those things. but I didn't. So take pictures of everything. It will help you when you teach again next year. You can recall better what you guys did, and then also to see how much your kiddos grow because they're so cute, and so it's really fun. So that is my final tip. So those are the 10 things that I wish I would have known going into my first year of teaching. There is a lot more that I could obviously talk about for hours and hours and hours, but those are like some big ones that I thought of when I sat down and was like, what do I wish I would have known? So I hope this video was helpful for you. If it was, please let me know down below in the comments so that I can know that this video was helpful and that you guys enjoyed it. Also, if you are a teacher and you have any advice or things you wish you would have known before you started teaching, also leave those down below in the comments because then we can all read them and get all of the advice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can join the fam, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!
I don't wanna stay here, no. Ain't gonna keep it low now. If you wanna go, let's go. Let's wrap it up and hit the road. I just got an awesome vibe, striking the wind up.